Okay, fourth graders, here is the sneak peek at Sara Pennypacker's new book, Here in the Real World. Sara Pennypacker wrote Pax, so let's see what this book is about. Chapter 1, Here in the Real World. Ware patted the 2 bricks stacked beside him on the pool deck, scored on the morning's ramble. Tomorrow he'd bash them into chips to build the ramparts of his castle, but tonight he had another use for them. He swirled his legs through the water, turquoise in the twilight, and at exactly 7:56 he snapped on his goggles and adjusted them. Snug. The boy began to prepare himself for the big event. He whispered the voiceover, in case anyone had their windows open, or the twin kings were looking around. The twin kings weren't twins, just 2 old men who dressed alike in plaid shorts and bucket hats. They weren't kings either, but they paraded around Sunset Palms retirement village like royal tyrants, making life miserable for anyone they encountered. Ware had studied the Middle Ages in school. Back then, kings could be kind and wise, kings could be cruel and lazy. Luck of the draw, serf or knight, you lived with it. The first time the twin kings had come across Ware, he'd been cheek down in the grass, watching a line of ants patiently climb up, then over, then down a rock, thinking about how much harder human life would be if people didn't know they could just go around some obstacles. Spaceman, they dubbed him, claiming they'd had to yell at him 3 times before he'd lifted his head. Now, whenever they found him, they delivered some zinger they found so hilarious they had to double over and grab their knees. The comments were not hilarious, though. They were only mean, which was okay. People made fun of him for spacing out. He was used to it. No, the mortifying thing was when Big Deal came out and sent the king slinking away with a single glare. An 11-and-a-half-year-old boy was supposed to protect his grandmother, not the other way around. Oh, they're harmless, Big Deal had said last night, laughing and making him feel even more ashamed. They're deathly afraid of germs, so just tell them you're sick. Diarrhea works best. As if he'd called them up by thinking of them, the twin kings rolled around the corner, hands clasped around their royal bellies. Earth to space, man, the shorter one cackled. Don't get your air hose caught in the drain down there. Ware glanced back at his grandmother's unit, then faced them. Better stay away. I'm sick. He grabbed his belly and groaned in a convincing manner. The twin kings scuttled back around the corner. Ware raised his eyes to the clock again. 7:58. He kicked off the seconds in the water. At 7:59, he picked up the bricks, then he slowly filled his lungs with the sunscreeny air, hot and sweet, as if someone was frying coconuts nearby, and slipped into the deep end. The bricks seemed to double in weight, sinking him softly to the bottom. He'd never been on the bottom before, thanks to a certain amount of padding that functioned as an internal flotation device. Baby fat, his mother called it. It'll turn to muscle. Witnessing his bathing-suited self in his grandmother's mirror every day, he realized his mother had omitted a crucial detail: how it would turn into muscle. Probably exercise was involved. Maybe tomorrow. Ware located the 4 huge date palms, each one anchoring a corner of the pool. Their trunky trunks staggered in the ripples like live gargoyles. At 8, the twinkle lights winding up those trunks were set to come on. Tonight, he would see it from the bottom of the pool. Okay, the big event was not exactly a dazzling spectacle, but he discovered that everything looked more interesting through water. Mysteriously distorted, but somehow clearer, too. He could hold his breath for over a minute, so he'd have plenty of time to appreciate the effect. 5 seconds later, though, a surprise. The palm fronds began to flash red. Ware understood right away. Ambulance. 3 times already in the weeks he'd been at Sunset Palms, he'd been awakened by strobing red lights. No shock in a retirement place. He knew the drill. The ambulance cut the siren at the entrance, no sense causing any extra heart attacks. It parked between the buildings, and then a crew ran around poolside where the doors to the units were sliders, easier to roll the stretchers in, haul the people out. Don't be afraid, he telegraphed to whoever lay on the stretcher, the way he had the other times. Scared people seemed like raw eggs to him, wobbling around with their shells. It hurt just to think about people being scared. While he watched the date palms pulse, he thought about being happy instead. How happiness could sneak up on you, like, for instance, when your parents sent you away for the summer to your grandmother's place, which you knew you'd hate, but it turns out you love it there because for the first time in your life, you have long hours free and alone. Well, except for maybe two old men, so harmless they're afraid of germs. An egret, as white and smooth as though carved from soap, glided through the purpling sky in a movie. In a movie, a single flying bird like that would let you know that the main character was starting out on a journey. Ware wished, the way he always did when he saw something wonderful, that he could share things like this. You see that? Wow! But he didn't really know anyone besides his grandmother here, and she hadn't been feeling well today. Had barely stepped out of. Ware released the bricks, burst to the surface, snapped off his goggles, and saw Big Deal's sliding glass doors gaping open like a gasp. Two EMTs inside bent over a stretcher. A third EMT squinted toward the pool, her white coat flashing pink in the lights as if her heart beat in neon. Mrs. Sauer from Unit 4 hovered behind her, bathrobe clutched to her chest, face clenched. She raised one bony arm like a rifle and aimed her finger right at Ware. Ware shot over the ladder, slapped the water from his left ear, his right, and as he scrambled out, he heard, "That's her, grandson, that's her grandson, off in his own world." At 8 exactly, the twinkle lights came on. Chapter 2. Ware woke disoriented to find himself in his own bed instead of on the prickly couch at his grandmother's place. The night swept over him, the grim silent ride to the hospital, following the ambulance and Mrs. Sauer's old Buick, the air-conditioned waiting room where he'd shivered, pool-soaked and worried until a nurse dropped a blanket over his shoulders, his mother charging in a few hours later, her jaw set like a rock. He flung off the sheets and got up. Halfway downstairs, he heard his parents talking in the kitchen. "Except that's not what you wanted," he heard his father say. I know, his mother said. "I only wish." Ware hurried to the rest of the way down. "What do you wish, Mom? Is Big Deal okay?" His dad slid off the counter. "You all right? Tough night yesterday." "Mom, how's Big Deal?" "She's awake," his mother answered, looking down into her coffee. "She'll be okay." "Oh, good. So when am I going back?" "Back?" His mom's phone rang just then. She picked it up and gripped her forehead with the other hand as if she were afraid it might shatter, and marched into the bedroom. His father watched her go with a worried expression. Of course, worried was his dad's normal state. It comes with the job, he often said. And he always sounded proud of it. Signaling airplanes down the runway meant thinking about every possible catastrophe. But Ware grew worried then, too. His mother was the manager at the city's crisis center. She juggled 20 volunteers, schedules, talked people down from bridges, and got babies delivered. She took control, as if control were a package sitting on the doorstep with her name on it. She didn't grip her forehead as if it might shatter. "Dad, Big Deal's okay, Mom said. When's she getting out?" "Well, she's okay. She just let her blood sugar get low yesterday. That's not good with her condition. They'll have to." "Her condition? Is Big Deal sick?" "Oh, well, she's not young, but she fell." "Is being old is a condition?" "She fell is the thing. They need to make sure she's all right." "Oh, okay, good. So what about the plan?" "The plan? I spend the summer there so you and Mom can work double shifts. Buy this house. The plan." "Oh, well, that was plan A," his dad agreed. He picked up a summer rec brochure from the counter. Plan B might be a little different. Okay, class, I hope you like the sneak peek of Here in the Real World. Get it at your library if you want to keep reading it.